hello again to all my Facebook family, all my Facebook friends. Welcome to another edition of Parks Investigative Live. I'm your host, Investigative Parks. Guys, as always, guys and gals, I should say, as I always say, you don't want to miss tonight's program. A couple special guests, distinguished guests we have, and I'll let you introduce him shortly. But we have none other, Mr. Robert Ray. He'll be joining the program, as well as a first-timer, new guest that'll be coming on. Her name is Celena Thompson. Conversation with Celena. She'll talk more about her program as well. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please go ahead and share this live. Tag someone. We're going to have a good discussion about the current events that's going on across the nation as well as in our home. And without delaying any further, I'm going to bring in my first guest. He's none other than the famous Mr. Robert Ray. Mr. Ray, welcome to the program.
Hey, I'm happy to be here again, and I'm always excited to exchange mind news and stuff with you.
Absolutely. Here's my special guest. She's Miss Celena Thomas, Sunshine in parentheses. So you got to explain that, Miss Celena. Welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the invite. It is a pleasure to be here. So every time I go live, it is called Conversations with Celena, but I start out with, hey, Sunshine. And so now no one calls me Celena. It's just, hey, Sunshine, all in town and everywhere. So, I just tried to bring positive messages during this pandemic. So really Conversations with Celena was birthed out of the pandemic.
Wow, sound like your story is very similar to my story as well. All right, guys, before we get started, as we always do, I will go ahead and go into prayer. Then we'll get started with tonight's program. So if you would, bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, we ask that you put wings on the words tonight, add movement in the message, and power in the proclamation. We ask that this be done in Jesus' name. Let everybody say amen.
Amen.
All right, Mr. Ray,
Yeah.
I've been following you on YouTube. You're getting real popular with that organism chapter 4. You want to go ahead and tell us what inspired you to go ahead and keep that YouTube channel up and running?
Hey, it really put a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm really sad and angry with YouTube. It's turning out that it's a big supernatural Ponzi scheme. I mean, they pay some people, but they don't pay others. I became a YouTube partner in November, and they said they owe me $7 million for my videos. I had 296,000 views, and I was supposed to be getting $22 per view for some of them, but some of them went as high as $174 per view, and they refused to pay me. So they just left a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm gonna have to move on. I always told people that I couldn't be bought. Even if it's $7 million, if you're not already happy in yourself, $7 million, it'll give you some delights you can spend and spend money on this and that. And my family and relatives are more really sad and hurt than I am, but they just won't pay. I mean, and I looked up, and I mean, they are being sued by everybody, and I looked at some compliments, and boy, everybody's just blasting YouTube for not paying them. And I just can't understand that a company that's worth $1 trillion and YouTube worth $500 billion, and they make $15 billion a year off of those ads that they put in every one of my videos. I got about 50 on there, and about every 3 minutes, it's an ad pop up on each one of them. And they made about $20 million off my videos, and they refused to pay me. So I'm gonna have to take them to court or whatever.
Wow,
that's the way. You always learn things as it go along.
Well, so, me and Celena must be missing out because if you get those kind of viewers and making $29 per viewer or up to $122, man, I don't know. Maybe I need to expand this investigative live a little further. What about you, Celena?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. I really haven't heard complaints about YouTube not paying, but that is interesting to find out tonight. But yeah, if you're getting that many, we need to take a lesson from Mr.
That's
Ray.
Right. That's right. All right, guys. Tonight we're going to be talking about the current events around the nation, of course, and around home. And we're going to let later on in the program let Celena talk about her program as well, and we'll try to get let some of our viewers also tune into her. I don't come on as frequently as I normally do. Of course, I work multiple jobs. I'm a full-time officer, and on my part-time job, I have a security business as well as I'm a high school official. Excuse me. I do basketball, football, and of course, this past summer, early school when school first came back in session in the fall, I was a volleyball referee. So my time has been very limited. But now that we're towards the end of the high school basketball season, I think my last game was on last Friday. My time has become a little bit more freer. So you'll see more Parks Investigative Live. But I said all that to say that Celena, I think she comes on a little bit more frequently, as well as Mr. Ray. So to get back on topic, in the news, I'm sure if you guys follow the world news, we know that Russia is still a threat to Ukraine. And I think it was breaking news earlier today where I think Russia has declared a couple territories there as independent. And I have to go back and pull that news article up. So that is kind of concerning news. We already know that we're in a deep inflation situation here in America, where gas prices is nearly as high as it was back in 2008, just before the recession. And I don't know about where you live, Celena, but around here where me and Robert's from, I filled up my car on yesterday, and it was at 3.09 a gallon. And where my car used to take $21 to fill up, it's almost 40 now, or if not $42, $43. So imagine those who got those big V8 engines, supercharged Challengers, and those big pickup trucks. It's almost $85, $90, close to $100 to fill your vehicle up, and that's a strain on the pocketbook unless you're making any kind of money.
It went up. About $10 more for me to fill my tank up. Right. I just got a Chevrolet Cruze, so
right. So you understand
$3.03 a gallon over here at Walmart.
Right. So wherever your choice of refilling, and for those who live in the rural areas where they don't necessarily come into the city population or the nearest town, if you get some of those stores that's out on what we call the county roads or in the rural spots, there's sometimes gas is 20 cents higher than the municipal inside the city limits, I should say. Okay, we talked about Russia. Also, a little bit of sport news. For those who follow the NBA, the All-Star game was last night. Not a big fan of the All-Star game. I'm more of a fan of the slam dunk three-point contest. Wasn't too exciting this year, in my opinion. But I want to point out, because we always hear the negative sometimes of these athletes when they get in trouble or get arrested or get on the wrong side of the law. But I want to point out last night, Stephen Curry, who broke the three-point record. He hit 16 three-pointers last night in the All-Star game. And he also had a charity going on where he was raising money for Cleveland schools. So, and I don't have the stats. I thought I had it on my phone, but you know how that go. But I do have the numbers. For every point he scored, I think he donated $3,000. And if he won the MVP, he was going to donate an additional 10. So anyway, he ended up scoring, I think, 50 plus points off 16 threes. And he raised a total of $108,000 that he's going to be donating to the Cleveland schools after his All-Star performance last night. So kudos to Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors for that positive news, I should say. Again, we like sometimes we hear the other side of the news when athletes somehow find themselves in a little legal woes. So big news there for Stephen Curry, and that was huge for the Cleveland area, even though that's LeBron's home. Well, he's I think from Akron, Ohio, but of course that's he started out his career with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that was huge to come into LeBron's hometown, or I should say, first team, and also donate. And of course, no shots thrown at LeBron because he opened up a school there somewhere in Ohio, and he invested millions of dollars with that school. So big news there. And let's go back to a little bit on the local side. Mr. Ray, you familiar? Crime here in Meridian. Violent crime has somewhat decreased this first quarter, but we're still having some issue with some car burglaries, auto burglaries, I should say, and home burglaries have increased some. But of course, the violent side, what we mean for is the homicides, compared to last year, what Meridian saw an increase in violent crimes so far. Prayerfully, we're off to a better start, I should say. Of course, we still have our fair share of issues. And down in Picayune, Celena, what's the crime like there?
I don't necessarily keep up with it like that, but it's a fairly laid back community, like it's a retirement community. Of course, there is crime, but I don't think it's nearly as high as some of the surrounding counties. But just because drugs is, you know, running rapid through the community, it is definitely probably on the rise. I think that just during this pandemic, there's lots of different crimes that's going on because people are in the homes longer, probably abuse is increased and just different things like that, that we don't have the numbers. Like we don't have those numbers right now because they haven't been reported, but once they have been, I feel like it's going to be just through the roof.
And also, I forgot to mention in the other national news, Mr. Ray, I'm gonna let you chime in. The You mentioned earlier, Celena, that the pandemic kind of inspired you to do your conversation with Celena live stream. Likewise, the Ahmaud Arbery case kind of inspired me. Is when we first came on the air almost 2 years ago, and we first went live and talked about that. Ironically, it was in the news on today. I saw on national news where the trial is underway. This is the civil rights trial. The federal trial is underway, and the question was rose, and it was basically said, do you think the Ahmaud Arbery killing was racially motivated? And my response to that is absolutely so. And those guys, I hope that we can convince the other 12 jurors that's on that federal jury panel to convince them as well that his case was definitely, I believe, racial motivated, and those guys should pay to the full extent. Although they've been convicted on the criminal side through the state court of Georgia, there's also a federal case that's pending with the civil rights violations. So, Mr. Ray, how do you feel about?
It was definitely a racially motivated crime because you have your own eyes to show you that what they did to him was nothing but racism all the way down the line. And they got what they deserved. Yeah. And they won't ever be able to see daylight again. They'll be in there every night thinking that they could have did something else with that day. But and see, and it's just like I say, it's so many white people with systemic racism until they do things like that, and they think it's normal. They think everybody will be okay with it. And that's what they was thinking when they did that to Mr. Arbery, because they thought that everybody thought like they were. We in the neighborhood, we're going to get rid of this so-called N-word person here, and we're going to teach them a lesson. And the neighbors are going to thank us for that. But when it went deadly for us, now the neighbor's going to back off, and now the Lord's going to take over. And that's what happened. And they look so sad, and they look like if they could have, they would have went back and changed what they did that particular day. But it's too late now. It's all gone. But the one that I want to talk about is the Dante verdict of the white female officer.
Dante,
and,
right?
Yeah, Dante, and they think the family thinks she should have got more. But I think it was fair what they gave her because she didn't intend to kill him. She just made a mistake and grabbed the wrong weapon. So when she shot him instead of tasing him, then that was a big mistake. I mean, if you make a mistake like that, and then they take you through all of those changes that they took her through, and she'll never be the same again. And she got to do time in prison. Once you go to prison, I don't care if you stay in there for 6 months, 6 years or 2 years, you'll never be the same when you come out. That punishment will always go with you. And the fact that Dante, he could have stood there and been arrested and went on downtown and took his medicine and got the bond and got out. He caused most of this stuff to happen to himself. If you want to know the genuine truth, even though it was a horrible thing to happen, and the officer should have been more aware of what she was doing. 26 years, she should have been more aware. But he was, at some fault in that by running. When you run from the police, then it's hard for people to support you in anything. And his mom and them, they won't forgive her though. And I say, well, a lot of these people, like these Christians, boy, they don't forgive. They still think that she should be getting more time in that, and that's where I see that situation.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that, Mr. Ray. Miss Celena, I'm looking at you in the background. Your eyes popped out a few times now. You haven't never met Mr. Ray. Mr. Ray is very blunt. He speaks what's on his mind, and he's retired. He has his own business, so there's no repercussion, so I say. So he.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what Miss Thomas got to say about that, because, like you say, she could be a mother and it could have been her son. What would you think?
That's right. That's right. Celena, you want to piggyback off?
Yeah, give us some of your feedback.
Well, just as a single mother, I have two Black sons, and not everyone can relate. I think that as a parent, we're always concerned about our children, but when you have two Black sons in this country, it puts a whole new level of concern and worry every time they leave the home, and when they get back, you're so relieved. So I would really, I just can't even imagine being in a mother's shoes where, oh goodness, she of losing your child. That's hard.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and a lot of the Black guys out there, and this will give you a good example, Miss Celena. The fight between the Black and white guy the other day, it's been viral now. It ran all over, and they started to fight, and they were both going at each other. But when the police officer arrived, they grabbed the little Black guy and threw him down on his face and put the knee in the back and then handcuffed him. But the white guy that he was fighting, the white team, was sitting on the couch. They let him sit on the couch. Now, that is purely racist police behavior there. But they behaved like it was just normal for them to grab the Black guy and sling him down and handcuff him. And that all has to do with systemic racism. They probably hadn't had any Black friends coming up in school, and this is the way that they have been taught. Hey, make sure you handcuff the Black guy first, because he's the dangerous one. And that's what they did, and they act like it wasn't anything wrong with it. So what do you think, Mr. Cornelius? Was anything wrong with it?
I haven't seen that video in its entirety, so I can't speculate on that particular one. But being in law enforcement, I will say this, and I'm not defending any actions, because all incidents are its own isolated reasons behind it. But I can say this: there is a challenge when you work in law, especially with dealing with today's, I would say, youth and the public. It's a lot different style of policing today than it was back when I was a teenager. And and again, and I do believe there's some misconduct on some officers' part across the nation, and a lot of that's being addressed, and a lot of the laws are changing based off some of the abuse of power that has been going on. But I will say this: a lot of the actions from what I would say the perpetrators are sometimes coming from a home environment. I deal with people all the time, and I have dealt with people all the time in my nearly 20-year career. And now I'm just going to give you a little synopsis. You got children now that has no respect for authority. They have no respect for their parents. They have no respect for law. And you're sending an officer out there to whose life is on the line to go out and deal with the public, and whether it's dealing with on the criminal side or civil side. And that's a tough job. And a lot of time, the officer has a lot of power to take someone's freedom. And if the situation results in someone's being taken into custody for a period of time, that is a tough job for an officer. And if you get any type of drawback from that perpetrator, where it's verbal or physical, it makes the job even worse. And you look at the pay that most of the officers, especially here in the South, especially here in Mississippi, the pay doesn't justify the level of stress and the level of the work that the officers put in. So again, you can take this conversation in multiple ways. And I'm not defending the officer's action. I would love to see that video and make my own speculation on it. But there has been videos in the past where, for example, the young man who went into the church in South Carolina and killed those 9 innocent black people in the church, who was taken to the burger joint and was given a burger. Yes, that was out of line. I agree with that. So, but all situations are different. So that's the only reason I can't speculate on that, because I haven't seen the video in its entirety.
Have you seen it?
Celena, are you familiar with the video he's talking about?
No, I haven't seen that video, but I definitely know that you try to teach your children, like it's a lesson of how to behave yourself if you're pulled over by the police. You know, you just can't jump out the car, you can't make any sudden moves. So it's definitely a conversation to have with your children, how to behave whenever you're pulled over, you know, because that plays a big part in it too. You don't want to give them any reason to react or respond quickly. I mean, because just like you said, it's on a case by case basis. Everything is different, so you can't just say one way or the other, because there's good and there's bad in every in every situation. But definitely, if you can teach your children, if you are pulled over, how to behave yourself during the stop, so that hopefully you'll be able to walk away and tell the story.
Right. And just to kind of change the tone, I want to get back to this Russia Ukraine conflict. People say, well, why is this important? It's not here in America. But you know, I talked about it in the opening statements of this program. We're already going through a high inflation. I think some of the highest inflation in the last 30 years. I think is what the news projected. It is actually higher than it was back in the 80s when they had an increase in the inflation. Someone posted online today about a carton of eggs, almost $3 where they live. This is a 12 count eggs. And now we have seen eggs, prices of eggs increase when there's been some type of E. coli outbreak or some type of bacteria infection within the or foodborne bacteria that somehow come through the chicken, and we have seen prices rise. But now a lot of the prices increase are dealing with the inflation. And we're talking about gas, we're talking about food, we're talking about the price of car, just about everything. And for those who, now last year, of course, we had a lot of assistance from the federal government for those who qualified, who wasn't in that high tax bracket like Celena and Robert. You know, me, it was some federal assistance. So this year is a little bit different. It's kind of things are kind of swirling back to normal. How do we deal? So hold on, I changed subject. If there is some type of invasion by Russia, of course, there would be some type of war. How long it would last, who knows? But if there is some type of invasion where it's military forces by Russia, there's going to be an economic impact and also a rise. And I see the inflation number will increase. So are we concerned, or for those who are Bible believers who know what's actually going on, because we're dealing in, a lot of us believe we're in the last day, the tribulation days. Is there a concern amongst you guys, or amongst the people that your colleagues that you talk to about the issue that's going around the world? Whoever speaks
first. You want to say something, Ms. Celena, about that?
Talk to, yes, go ahead, Celena. And then you, Robert, you follow behind.
Oh my goodness. I wish Mr. Robert would have went first on this. So I could have piggybacked off of him, but I just I don't know how. Ugh, I don't know how I would respond because even with just the pandemic, that's the reason I told you that Conversations with Selena was birthed, because I was depressed and anxious, if you can possibly be that at the same time, because I really didn't know. I said, "Oh Lord, we really are in the last days. We're about to die." And because like you said, we do definitely feel like this is just the Bible being fulfilled in the last days. So I don't know what I would say. I want Mr. Robert to go so I could piggyback off of him
Hey, I tell you
on
one
this
thing.
topic. I need some help, Mr.
It
Robert.
really doesn't touch me in the least. I don't care what Putin does over there. I don't care how many people he go over there and kill, because it's the black race have been victimized the most from coast to coast. I couldn't care less what they do over there in Russia. You talking about demonic men that want to rule over everybody and everything. And if Biden them don't chastise him and say, hey, look, Putin, if you do anything out of order, we all going to jump on you. The rest of the world is going to jump on you. And if you think you can beat the rest of the world, go back and read what Hitler said and Mussolini and all of these guys that thought that they could take over the world and take over little countries next to them and there wouldn't be any consequences. And this is what Putin is. He's just testing the water. He's trying to see how many cowards we got out here that'll let him get away with that. But once they tell him, all they saying is that we're going to have sanctions on you. But that country produces more oil than anybody, any country in the world. So they're going to need his oil regardless. If they cut his stuff off, then he'll cut the oil off. And then there'll be another crisis. Like you say, there'll be inflation. But
Well,
as far as the
it's
war and them having war there, I could care less about that.
well, and that's what I'm saying. You're saying you can care less, and I understand that. That's your opinion. But if there is war, we're gonna be affected by it in some form or fashion. And again, it's bad timing because the economy is trying to recover from the pandemic that we're still technically under. And on the flip side, if there is war, you're talking about even higher prices at the pump because Russia does produce a lot of oil, and you're talking about an economic impact across the world. So we are affected, whether we realize it or not. So again, it's not in our back door. We don't have to wake up to the bombings or the suspected potential for bombing. But in a sense, for those who are Christians who should love our neighbor, and that means love everybody, it should be some level of concern, in my opinion. But go ahead, follow up.
Well, like I said, to me, it doesn't affect me at all. I don't lose not one breath or one second of sleep over what Putin going to do, and they think he may do something tomorrow or the next day. I, my life is just too short to be worrying about what these old rich white people gonna do and what they're gonna do to each other. It's just too far away for me to even be concerned about it. Go ahead, Mr. Lee.
Well, I guess maybe I misunderstood. I thought he was asking if they came here and the war was here. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I really don't know how I would respond to that, because my heart goes out to the people that have to live through these bombings every night and missiles going off over their heads, and just trying to run for cover with their children. That's just no way to live. I try not to live in a complete bubble, but at the same time, I try not to worry too much about, kind of like Mr. Ray said, you just can't worry too much about it, because, I mean, what are we going to do? We have to, like, I guess, cross that bridge when we get to it. But you can't worry yourself about the what ifs. I think because we've been through so much, so many years as it is, and we just overcome. Like we come to the obstacles and we make it through. And that's how I live life. Like regardless of what it is, I just always believe that I'm going to be okay and I'm going to make it through.
That's a
All
good
right.
attitude to have. And Our terrorists is our own little black youth, the gang members. I mean, let me ask you this, Mr. Black youth have no love for knowledge, intelligence, or wisdom, which are the means of developing higher levels of love in the human being. Now, can you get to that? Can you understand that if these little black guys, if they don't want to learn anything, if they don't care about intelligence, if they don't care about wisdom, they'll never raise themselves up to love the country, to love the neighbor, to love their neighborhoods and their city and the states and things like this. And the things that you're supposed to love and be taught to love by your parents as you're coming up. And if you got a whole herd of black youth out there that's not learning anything but smoking they blunts and trying to get a hold to their pistols and guns and stuff like that, then that's what we should be focusing on, not Putin and all that and his crazy mob over there. We should be concentrating on these youth and trying to give them that ability to want to love knowledge and want to love intelligence and wisdom and all of these things so that they can develop a high degree of loving in the world. That's what keep them behind the white kids. The white kids are always taught these things in their homes, to love these things and to love high degree things to be human beings. But the black, they can't do this. Yeah.
Well, it goes.
What do you see the black youth? Do you see them coming to you saying, "Hey, I learned this today, Mr. Cornelius. And this is really something I didn't understand and didn't know, but this should give me a little boost up." What do you think about it?
Well, it just depends. I do agree with some of the things you said, but some people would say, "Hey, to combat some of the challenges that you mentioned about, send those kids off, those troubled kids off to war. Let them experience, let them see real life." You talk about them, carrying guns and picking up guns. You can legally carry a gun in the military, and if you have to go to war, and maybe they'll have a different outlook on life and things like that. But that's just one synopsis to the situation. We are living in the last days, and for those who are Bible believers, and you're right, we're not going to change things that's going to happen. And Celena mentioned, some things you just can't worry about. But on the flip side, some things it should concern certain people because even though it's not in our back door or in our backyard, I should say, the things that's going on in other countries, but those are still God's children. Those are still human beings. That's those who are within the borders of Ukraine, and not only in Ukraine. We're talking about it even in the other foreign countries where there's always a conflict dealing with violence from the government. Things like that. It was always wars. Some children in school and awakened by bombs. So just because it's not happening here, it should be some type of level of compassion, I should say, for those innocent, especially the children that's involved. So anyway, and again, that's not here locally.
Since you mentioned that, they had statistics that show that the black kids in Alabama and Mississippi who have been victimized by not getting an education because of the COVID, they say they will never recover from that. Now that is scary and it's really sad. They'll never recover.
When you say never recover, you mean for it
that was in the COVID and missed all of that education because of the COVID. The black kids, the statistics, and the society, the people that look at these statistics say that the black kids, they'll never recover from that. Now, if they don't recover from that, it's going to be hard for them to compete with the kids that do recover from that. Yeah, it's just a dangerous situation in the black race now because of the COVID, not because they was dying, but because they missed so much. The COVID has caused so many black kids that would have wanted to learn something, but had to try to learn it at home by themselves on a computer. You miss so much then, and it's going to affect them in the end. What you think about that, Miss Celena? You got two boys. How did they cope with that?
It was a challenge, but my children were older. My oldest son, he was in college and he had already experienced virtual learning, so it wasn't like a major thing for him. It was unfortunate that the children weren't able to graduate and have their prom, and I mean they did miss out on a lot, but to say that they can't recover, I guess I would have to say I'm not so sure about that. And I know kids become a product of their environment sometimes, but I don't put a lot of weight in statistics because I'm a single parent, and statistics probably said that my children were going to be who knows what, because I don't read that. I don't focus on that. And both of them are in college. Thank God that they are.
That's amazing.
I'm sorry.
I said that's amazing because
Uh,
yeah,
oh,
that you don't find that too much, especially in Mississippi. Well, single parent have two kids in college. I mean, two sons in college.
it's
The
rough.
females
You should see
like
my pockets. Ain't nothing in it but some lint. I, I got lint in my pockets right now, so whew, it's tough. But they're doing it. One is going for software engineering, and the other one is in sports medicine. And so it really is. I just don't even want to label
how,
our
how did
children
you
as.
inspire them? How
I'm
did you have help with that? Or did you inspire them yourself? Or did you have a brother, a bigger, older brother, or uncle, or something that could deal with them? How did you do it?
That's a really good question. I wonder how I did it. I'm just going to say by the grace of God, because if I put my finances, and I tell people this as a testimony, if I put my finances down on paper, they always show me in the negative. And I mean, not a little bit in the negative. It would be like, oh my God, how am I making it month to month? But God made a way for us to make it and survive. And I'm very proud of my children for even wanting to go have an education. But I think that they always just knew this is something that you have to do. It's no if and buts about it. And even in my illness, they found me unconscious on my living room floor in 2015. And in 2018, I finished, with my bachelor's degree. And they just saw that no matter what, their mother was going to get up and try to make it happen. And I feel like I know the Lord got me up out that bed, but also just the fight in me that says I cannot leave my children. I need to be here for them because no one is going to treat you like your mother. And so, I would have to ask them, did I really inspire you? But they just tell me sometimes, Mama, I just wouldn't been able to do what you've done. And so it's a very good compliment. I mean, it's probably the best compliment a mother could receive from their children. So I hate it for anyone that is in an environment where there's drugs and just all kinds of things, violence in the household. Mine wasn't perfect because I was completely stressed to the max. So I probably did some damage. I know I did some damage to them, but at the end of the day, we all got traumatic experience. We all can say some traumatic experiences from our childhood, but it didn't stop them from pressing on. And again, I don't think that they really thought that they had an option. They have to go to school. They have to, try to do something with their lives. And even if they decided not to go to college, just for like the bachelor's and the master's or whatever, they needed to go get a trade, so either way, whatever their decision was, because I didn't want to make it for them, because I don't want you to say I did this because you said. I want them to be able to make their own decisions and figure out life. I'm here to help you. I'm in the background. I'm your biggest cheerleader, but I need for you at this point in your life to decide what it is that you want to do. And I'm going to be supportive. And they both decided to go to college. So, like I
That's,
said, the
that
children
is
that are in
amazing.
those
So,
environments that they don't get that encouragement, they don't get the positive um,
I
feedback,
think
because
most
you
of them,
definitely need that feedback
yeah, if you
from your
kept them
parents,
out of
from
prison,
somebody.
And that's
But
what
I've
you
witnessed
did.
children come up out of drugs. They come up out of a drug-filled home and they make something out of themselves. So it depends on the individual child, what they decide to do with their lives. Some kids, you could have two, three come out of the same household and they all three take different routes, because some are going to say, there's no way I want to live this life. And some fall victim to that, that particular lifestyle. So it just depends.
All right. Hey, great conversation. And I want to piggyback off something you guys said. I'm also a single father. And thank you, Kenny, for that comment. He said Parks has some awesome kids. So perfect timing. He just posted that. I'll say this right here. I have 7 children, 4 boys and 3 girls. And my second oldest child, who's 17 years old, a senior down in Petal High School, is actually one of the top recruits for the state of Mississippi in basketball. He's leading the states in blocks, having a very successful year, his senior year. So out of those 16 years of his life, of course, it was he was under my care until this senior year. Of course, he moved away with his mom to better his basketball career because of the lack of success he was having here locally. But anyway, and he's getting offers from LSU, Mississippi State, Virginia Tech, all across the region. I mean, it's unreal. So and so I say that to say this. Miss Celena is right. You can raise a child. You can raise them up in church. You can teach them about Christ, the do's and the don'ts. You can try to keep them out of trouble. Put a little discipline on them. You teach them. Don't let them run with certain individuals, certain friends, just to try to protect them as a good parent would. And you can give them all that nutrients that they need, and then they still can, like Celena said, can go the opposite direction. So, and back in the day, people would say, "Oh, the parents are not raising them right." You can't say that now, because again, you can have a child under the strictest care and in church every Sunday, but then the moment they get of age and they get out of their home, they can end up in prison. So I know that from close family members who I know had a 10 times better lifestyle than I had. Where the parents bought them all the name brand clothes, name brand shoes. In other words, they didn't lack for much compared to the way I was brought up. And then once they got out, of course, they made some bad decisions and now are suffering the consequences. So I say that to say you're absolutely right, Celena. It's a different generation that we're living in. Children of today, it's amazing. I don't know, and it's some teachers, retired educators I know now that say, "Ain't no way in HELL I'll go back into the classroom with the way some of these kids are acting, where they're just literally a cuss the teacher out." They now with the technology, with these cell phone, they're recording teachers. You get a teacher who's just say been older, a teacher, for example, who maybe sitting at a desk on a computer. You know how when if you're tired, you can snooze, or you have to catch the wait a minute. I'm nodding off. But there's been a situation where I've seen video recordings of teacher just for a split second snooze, and some child has recorded it on a cell phone, which they shouldn't have inside the classroom, and boom, it's on social media, it's gone viral, and then it's teachers, the administration, it's in the HR office, or possibly terminated. This is happening all across the nation. And again, that's just one isolated incident, but it's a tragic. It's sad, and that it has come to this. And I know I'm getting off course, but Celena said something.
Black young females, we missing out on them. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's really, he keeps his head up in the air and he looked wild, everything. And we got to talking, and he was saying that the black females today, the young ones, they are good for 2 things. That's nutrition and propagation. I don't know if you know what that means. That just means that they eat till they almost bust, and then they have babies. That's what they are. That's what he was observing, and I looked at it, and I mean, it might not be all the way genuine true, but when you look at it, a lot of my next door neighbor, he's a junior this year, and he went to school, and he said 3 teenage girls have become pregnant since they started back to school out at Meridian High. You probably know him, Mr. Cornelius, who it was, because just about everybody know who gets pregnant around there. And then they have babies, they propagate, And I was over at Golden Corral there. I took a lady over to Jackson, and she stopped by there. She wanted to buy me a dinner after she got out of treatment. And man, you talking about people in there eating. I mean, it's a buffet, and people were just going back and forth, getting piled up plates and just eating. And there was a couple of black girls next to my table. I think they went back 4 times and filled up their plates to eat. It was almost like a circus atmosphere in there. And
that's what it's for, right? That's the reason you go to a buffet, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta just eat till you're comfortable. You just eat it just cause it's there and poke it in and poke it in. And you know we got the fattest people in the world here in Mississippi. You know that. And this is what we got to look for. And the ladies,
let me
black
interrupt
girls, they work in video jobs, and then they try to buy their kids all of these expensive things that well-to-do parents can buy for their kids. It's just sad to see. I tell you, it really is.
Right. Hey guys, we're gonna take a quick break. I know that Celena, she's got another engagement in the next 10 minutes. Celena, we're gonna be off, I promise you. We're just gonna take a quick break. But guys, if you're tuning in late, you're watching Parks Investigative Live. I'm your host, Investigator Parks. My special guest up top, to my left, Celena Thomas Sunshine, talking with conversation with Celena. She has a live screen on Facebook as well, and I'll let her talk about that before we get out of here. Also, to my top right, Mr. Robert Ray. He's famous for his words, the genuine truth, and he also has.
I got to tell you this. I want to cut you up. I got a letter from a guy that's Mr. Lee. He used to be down here. He was an advocate in the county jail up there, and some guy, lawyer, told him, say, "Yeah, I looked at Mr. Ray up down there. He said he made a racist statement. He said the white people and the black people hate him."
Well, hey,
I mean, okay. The statement wasn't that far off track, but he was trying to turn that guy against me, I guess.
All right, hold your thought, Mr. Ray. Take a quick break, and we'll be back momentarily. All right, guys, I'm Investigator Parks. You're watching Parks Investigative Live. My special guest, Celena Thomas, on the top left, Robert Ray, top right. Guys, if you got comments, you can comments in the section. Or if you have questions for the guests, you can also post your question. I forgot to mention this in the program. If you have a question, I noticed Pastor Graves, thank you for joining the program. He's on watching live. I cannot see the comments if you're watching it through my personal Facebook page. But if you're watching it through the Parks Investigative Live page, all your comments there will post live, so I can respond to them. So I'm actually on my phone, and I see some of the comments that have come through my personal page, but it won't show me those comments on the live stream. So and that's mainly because the personal page always share the live stream because it's linked to Facebook, this and that. Anyway, but Pastor Graves said, "Good evening, everyone." And he agreed with you, Mr. Ray. He said we do need to teach on the importance of good nutrition and portion size. So I just want to point that out. He agreed with you on that, and I was being sarcastic when I said that's the reason. Yeah, and also he said we need parents who are good role models for the next generation of world leaders. So he's chiming in on something Selena said. So, but anyway, we're getting close to the 8 o'clock hour, and Selena's got to get out here. She's got another appointment. Selena, and hold on, Robert, because we're going to stay on. I want to let the viewers know how they can connect with you on Facebook through your live stream. If you would just talk a little bit about that and how what they need to put in the search bar so they can link up with you.
So it is, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this information. It's Conversations with Celena, and as you can see, it's Celena with a C. It's so funny how you can say it and then spell it, and they still spell it with an S, even though you say C. So in order to find me, make sure you put Celena, Conversations with Celena, and also my personal page is Celena Thomas. It's on YouTube as well under Conversations with Celena. I just got that changed. It was my name as well, but I was trying to make it uniform and easy for everyone to locate me. So on Twitter, it doesn't allow you to have such a long name. So it's Convo with Celena on Twitter. And those are really the main platforms that I'm on right now. TikTok is Tipping Thomas, and let's see what else is there. There's so many. Instagram, I have Instagram, and that's also Conversations with Celena. And I want to try to link it up to where I can go live on Instagram as well. So we'll see how that works. But
Good luck
yes,
there. Good luck there. I was told the only way you can do it. I have a church friend who does lives every Thursday, and I think she said she screen records it from her phone and somehow run it through Instagram. I think it's what she told me because Instagram don't give you the option to go live or actually share live. Well, I take it back. You can share the live, but I think it won't let you go live directly from Instagram. So there is ways around it. I'll have to get back with you and tell you the ways you
let me know whatever you find out.
All right. All right. Selena, feel free to exit at any time. I know you have your next appointment, but so glad you joined us.
Yes, thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
With you, Miss Celena.
Sir?
It's been neat grooving with you.
Yeah, so you all will have to come on Conversations with Celena. We'll have to set that up because usually the upcoming events that I'm trying to schedule is going to be next weekend for Black History, just kind of seeing Black History Month out, and which every day and every month should be, because there's so many contributions that the young generation are not aware of. Even when we went to school, that's left out of the history books, and you only get a small little portion of our contribution. So I want to try and get together a few people to come on and have a panel to discuss past Black history, current, and local. So if there's someone local that made contributions, or there's a young person, I heard different things like Curry, he's doing something, and then there's another young Black girl. I think she has something with soccer, maybe Dennis Rodman's daughter, I think they told me. So just things like that. Even though I know this year Black History is focusing on wellness and health, I want to bring a little bit of that, but also just so anyone that's not well versed in it, we can learn one step at a time together by sharing the knowledge that we know. And also, let's see, suicide. I want to do that one. So that's upcoming. Alcoholism and colorism. So those are the 4 that I'm working on right now. Black History, of course, is the first because we're about to be out of that month.
Wading off in my water now. I'm a professional drug and alcohol counselor and trainer counselor. I got a suicide prevention, and I got a extraordinary rape prevention on there too. That all the teenage girls should learn about.
So maybe you could join us for the one that's going to be on suicide. I don't have the date just yet, so I'll have to get with you and see what date works. It'll be sometime in March.
Okay, very good. I would be excited and happy to come.
Okay, well, awesome, awesome. That's just near and dear to my heart. And I had someone call me and ask me to do colorism because her family made a difference because she was darker. And I told her, I said, I had a young lady tell me that her grandmother would separate the grandkids when they came. The dark grandkids would be over here. The lighter skin would be over there. Lighter skin could stay inside the house. The darkies, as she called them, they had to go out,
Now that's
and
fun.
just couldn't participate like the other children. So she said, "Can you please do an episode on that?" And I said, "I most definitely will." And that's what I'm looking for, feedback of what it is that people need to hear and want to hear. And so since that's part of her childhood, she really wants to share it to bring that awareness. And that's what I'm here for. On Monday through Friday in the morning, I just say, "Hey, sunshine." I'm like, "Okay, y'all, it's time to rise and shine," because I wanted to create a new habit of getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so I said, "Miss Abigail," I always talk to Miss Abigail. I say, "You're going to know that I'm up at 4 o'clock because I'm going to go live at 5." So then Sunshine got tired. I was like, "Okay, y'all, I'm done with this." And they said, "No." They said, "No, Sunshine, you can't stop." I said, "But I'm not saying anything other than good morning, Sunshine, get up, time to go," whatever I would say. But obviously, they enjoy it, and I do enjoy it as well. But 4 o'clock in the morning is early. I said, I'm gonna have to start pre-recording and and schedule it to run so I could be asleep, and Sunshine could keep going for 5 o'clock. But that's what it is. I really do enjoy it. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show tonight. It has been awesome.
Yeah, and we certainly appreciate you accepting the invite such at a very short time. And I just want to say I pray and wish you the best on your live stream because Robert can contest to this. He's a former mayoral candidate here last year during the mayoral election, and I did due to the pandemic, a lot of the traditional forms or debates wasn't happening because people didn't want to be compacted in a room. So I did what we call one of the first of this kind virtual debate with all the mayoral candidates, of course, except one who refused to come on. And it was 6 or 7 of us, I think, Robert, and I had a co-host, Pastor Graves. It was a huge success. It was such a success to where the local news decided to run a story on it about the first debate, one of the first debates that the mayor candidates participated in. Of course, they didn't get my permission, but I didn't mind. I mean, that lets me know that we had many people tuning in, and I think that video had over 6,000 viewers, and that's from the local area. You got to realize this was dealing with the Meridian area. So we did a congressional debate. We had a special election here in our area where we elected a new state senator, Rod Hickman, who's also a law professor, and he was sworn in back in December, and he's serving his first term over in Jackson as we speak. So again, that was a huge success with that. So we do a lot of things. We talk about the current events. Things that's going on, if we have something that relates to us. And so Robert has been one of the favorite guests because Robert, and he don't mind me saying that he was behind a controversial statement that he made on the local news about Mississippi having some of the dumbest kids on planet. And as a matter of fact, his comments were so famous that the national news, world news, ABC, world news, posted it, ran the story on it because he was a mayoral candidate, and it caused a lot of controversy. But Robert liked that attention, I think, because I played a little clip of the video.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
That's right. And look, and while we're on that subject, I'm just going to run that clip real quick so Celena can see it. I know we're running over time. Here's the famous comments from Robert.
Meridian have the dumbest kids on the planet down in Meridian. And I know because I've observed them, I've looked at them, I've watched them.
The guests attending Tuesday's mayoral forum couldn't believe what Republican candidate Robert Ray said when he was asked about spending stimulus funds. I couldn't believe it either and gave him a chance to explain.
I just wanted to give you a chance to clear that up and make sure we're hearing that the correct way.
There's nothing to clear up. We got the dumbest kids on the planet here in Mississippi. You can tell that way to school. We rated the lowest schools. What determines whether a kid is dumb or not?
Yeah, she
Every
was
time I
good.
watch that video, I mean, and again, he's entitled to his opinion. I don't know if I would have said it that way, especially at a mayoral forum. But again, Robert's not afraid to say what's on his mind, and of course, those comments, that particular video article,
That's why I
made,
write this right here.
yeah,
Genuine truth.
the
All I
genuine truth,
deal is. That's
right?
all I
So,
did. By the way,
so
I've been down to Picayune, Miss. When I was running for governor, and when I was in the Mississippi Writers Guild, I was president of the Mississippi Writers Guild here in Mississippi. And, we came down to Picayune quite a few times to do it. It seemed like a clean city. I don't know about the racism down there, but it's definitely a clean city.
That's because nothing's going on. It's easy.
well, look, Celena, I know you got to get out of here. It's past. We ran you over, and you told me you had an 8 o'clock engagement. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
thank you again.
right. I just wanted to let you know, just kind of inspire you. There's another gentleman out of New York who runs a live stream. And I kind of watch his live stream, get some ideas, and so it's always, we don't mind sharing ideas. And if you got any suggestions for me as well, now one advice I would give you, I invested in the green screen. Of course, I don't have enough light at the moment. That's why you're seeing all these little black speckles, but I would advise you to, invest in a green screen. It's very inexpensive, under $75 for the stand and the sheet off Amazon, and get your logo put on the back, just like I have here, this shoulder, over my back shoulder. So, I've actually taken my show on the road one time doing matter of fact, the state senator who won on election night. We was down at his headquarters broadcasting live and gave him opportunity to speak. So again, if this is something you enjoy doing, by all means, I don't get any financial support.
You can see mine behind me.
Yeah.
I tried to get a technician to put something on there.
I do have a green screen at home, though, because I'm not home right now. But at home, there's a television behind me where I'm running advertisements now.
Gotcha.
So that's something that I'm trying, just because, I think you were getting ready to say you don't have financial support. So everything is coming out of my real paycheck to support Conversations with Celena. But I enjoy doing it. And I know if I continue, the rest is going to come. So I just have to show up, be consistent, be faithful, do my best to be transparent, and it's just going to happen. I've had the prophetic word spoken over it too many times for me not to believe that if I do my part, then God's going to do the rest.
There you go. And I'm glad you said that. That holds so much truth. And I'll say this as well. Even your heart is in it and you're doing what you think is right and what God has spoken into your heart, you're still going to face criticism. There's people even in my area who's been on social media over the last several months. As most recently as my understanding last week or this week, whenever, and they always try to find negative things to talk about. They always try to destroy your character. So, to me, if they're talking, I must be very relevant. And one thing about a lie, it always runs into a dead end road. So eventually, if people are gonna post negative things or attack you or what God has spoken or birthed into you, just let them talk. And what you're investing into, what you're doing, and I know what I'm investing into what I'm doing. And even if I reach one person, if I inspire one person, or if somebody learned something, I don't care about, like I told you when we talked on the phone, when we did the mayoral candidate, 4,000 or 5,000 local viewers. Me and Mr. Robert Ray did a relationship segment where we had on 2 counselors on. I mean, these are seasoned counselors who dealt with all kind of different relationships. We may have less than 100 viewers. So I've learned people love controversy. They love problems. Just like some of those used to see those fights on Facebook where these kids are recording. I say kids, sometimes young adults be recording these fights and they get shared all over the place and they can have millions of views. I remember one fight had over 3 million views and it made World Star. It's like, wow, why would you share some garbage like this? And people just love watching that nonsense. Now, when you're talking about something beneficial, we're dealing with relationships, marital counseling, etc., things that we all can benefit from. It's less popular. So anyway, I said all that to say, I wish you the best, and don't be a stranger. We'll be more than happy to join your program as well. And hopefully we can do another segment dealing with relationships where we can plan it, where we can have more counselors on like Mr. Ray and some of my other ministers on that deal with family counseling, and we can get you back on here and we can have a good discussion.
Yes, I would love it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Celena. Stand by, Mr. Ray. I'm not done with you.
All right.
Okay.
Y'all have a great night. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, Mr. Ray, I just wanted to say I know you made it public on Facebook that you was dealing with COVID, and I just want to. It looks like you survived well, and you didn't have any issues there that would basically still have you down under the gun. So I'm glad you was able to overcome your illness there, and I was praying for you when I saw that post.
I think I just about got over. I came down. They diagnosed me with positive on Martin Luther King's birthday. And so I quarantined for 10, 15 days. And it just seemed like, I guess they say you have the mild symptoms. You have mild symptoms. And then, but the thing about me, it was the pain thing. I would have pain in areas that I never had pain. But like, you don't supposed to have no pain, right up on the top of your nose, like it just almost bring tears out of the eyes and stuff like that. But they said that that's what the COVID would do. It would go to your weakest areas and just try to pain it to death. And I had a lot of that, but I didn't. And I had a lot of cold and stuff that come up. But yeah, I didn't really never get to the point where I couldn't, Oh, but I know one thing. Whenever I can't eat my peanut butter and crackers, it's something radically wrong.
Well, I was going to touch on the fact that you eat a lot of whole foods and you're very healthy for your age. So I think a lot of may have, and I know you probably haven't taken the vaccine due to whatever beliefs. So, but I'm glad God spared you and had mercy on you, because like I said, when you made the post, I was it kind of concerned me, because I do know you're up up in age, and not that necessarily mean that's a death sentence, but I know it's statistically they were saying that it was a little bit harder on someone of your age.
And it was,
but you didn't have any help.
It killed more old and elderly people than anybody.
Right. Well,
I take so many vitamins. You remember when it first came out, Fauci or one of the other doctors said either you get the vaccine or you would have to take ridiculous amounts of vitamin C. I take ridiculous amounts of vitamin C.
Okay, good deal. And I just started my daily regimen of vitamin C as well. Even though I consider myself fairly healthy, and but I got the chewable vitamin C, and it's 1,000 milliliter.
Yeah, that's one you should get the 1,000. But as young as you are, if you start now, you should be healthy all your life.
Yeah, and believe it or not, this should make you happy. I have changed some of my eating habits. I started my diet last week where I'm doing away with sugars, bread, and
that's the main.
Now, if I do fried food, let me say it's not a no meat diet, but if I do fried food, it'll probably be limited once a week, because I am a fisherman. I do love my fried fish. But last week I did had a couple of servers of grill fish, and it takes a while to get used to. Once you train that body a certain way,
it takes years. I've been doing this over 40-some years, almost since 1976. I've been getting my nutrition more and more in order, and looking at. I think I'll try that and going with this and that and getting away from sugar. I hadn't really ate any sugar since 76, and hadn't drank any alcohol since 75. Smoked any cigarettes since 75, 76. And I just, got away from the negative thing that that's harmful for you. And you got to do it that way, one thing at a time. You always change in an orderly sequence of events. You don't just stop things right away, but you do it in an orderly sequence of events. And over a period of years, when you get to be about 50, wow, that ain't doing nothing unhealthy here. That's what they'll be saying about you.
Right. Well,
and then you can be an example to the other ones too. your family members, your kids, and stuff like that?
Well, it's just, I guess, especially in the Black community, we have a very bad habits, bad food habits, still with a lot of fried food, a lot of fattening foods, high cholesterol foods. So once you get a certain age, you have to kind of change your diet, and if you want to, continue to be healthy, and of course live that longevity life that we all want to live. And prayerfully or thankfully, I should say, I'm not on any medication as of now, other than I was having some issues with acid reflux. But of course, once you cut back on your fried foods and things like
Yep,
that, I haven't had any issues. It just depending on what you eat. So I learned to not eat those things that cause that that type of flare up. But anyway, I know this is not a health segment that we was on. Mr. Ray, I appreciate you
It's a
coming
blessing
on.
when you can say that you don't have any health issues. Now I can say that myself. I don't have any health issues. I don't take any prescription drugs and stuff like that. And it was just a little note. I found out that Gladys Knight don't have any health issues, and she's 77. That's amazing. I think her only thing was gambling, I guess. And she got over that, so she's on.
All right, Robert. What's our next topic going to be about? When are we going to come back on? I got to make.
I don't know. I may be able to come back on because now I'm gonna have to. I know a lot of people want to be YouTubers and stuff, but I'm gonna investigate this real good. And when I come back on, I have enough to tell because a lot of people want to be YouTubers, but if they are what they look like they are, then it wouldn't be a good idea to try to go that way to make your money, make your fortune, and be on that.
And that was very, very disturbing news that you mentioned, because I thought, depending on the amount of viewers you get, that YouTube would submit some type of allowance there, or repay you, because they were able to advertise off the amount of viewers that come in. And I know one of your shows I saw had over 170,000 views, and this was a show probably over 6 months ago, and I was like, wow, that is huge. So
now I'm up to 300 and some thousand.
Oh yeah. Well, you need to get up to that million mark. You got to do some of these videos where you're going into Walmart and throwing bears at people and hiding in the other aisle. Those videos get millions of views. So I don't know if you want to risk doing it right here. Huh? Might get shot, huh?
Yeah. But that's what I'll be doing, and then we'll be watching for things happening in the world. Like you say, if Putin does invade, that will be news, and we'll have to point out exactly what the issue is and what he's trying to accomplish over there, and see how that affects the American society, things like that.
Well, economically, it's going to be an impact. It's going to ricochet all across the world. Any war, even when America went to the Gulf, over to the Gulf and was fighting those two wars and Afghanistan, all the countries surrounding us, or the countries I should say, even around the world, are impacted in some form or fashion. Remember when early in the early 2000s, after we went into back and got Saddam, and then later on in Afghanistan, the price of lumber increased, and it's steadily increased. I remember back when I built my house, 2x4 back in 2010, 2011 was probably $1 and some change a stud, and now it's up to $3, almost $4 a stud, depending on the type of wood you get. So
and they were back during the day. That's why they started wars at the time, so that they could make the money, bring it,
bring the economy
right. Like that. Yeah.
So once you understand that, you realize the bigger picture behind all of this, and it's sad, because you would think that we live in a world with so much greed, and the rich steadily wants to get rich. So, but anyway, that's a whole another topic, another subject.
Yeah. But anyway, I'll be ready to. I'll be trying down some things like I had here today at night. Oh, and I I just want to hit you with this one. They showed this video where this black guy slapped this white guy and slapped him two or three times, slapped him down because he used the N word to him.
I did see that. I did see that video.
Now, what do you think about that? And I always tell people, I say, if you knock somebody out or harm somebody or assault somebody because they call you the N word, and you get down there in front of the judge, he's not going to care about what they called you. All he's going to be concerned about is the assault. You assaulted this person. He didn't assault you. He may have called you a dirty name, but you can't assault people for that. What do you think about that? You being in the
Well, well, it goes back to the good book, about turning that cheek. And I'm not saying that's a hard pill to swallow. Someone literally calls you out of a name this day and time, and like they did back in the '60s and during those civil rights days. But I did see the video; it was very disturbing. You don't have the right to assault anybody. What they say, words can't hurt.
That's what I'm thinking.
So you don't have to, that's just like, and that's using the N word. Just like if you go and just say, I'm gonna just give you an example. You see a young person in a store who pants is sagging, and you be like, "Yeah, man, pull your pants up," because you're of age and they just don't look good. And that child pulls his pants up, or don't put his pants up and take offense to what you said, and then assault you. Even though you basically giving him advice and he was trying to help him out, and he assaults you the way that guy was assaulted. You didn't deserve that. So what I'm trying to say is that even though that word is should be allowed, especially in today's climate, but here's the issue: we use it in rap songs, we use it in everyday conversation. But we get mad when it's thrown at us. So if that word is that offensive, we shouldn't even use it to one another. We shouldn't even use it in the songs. We shouldn't even use it in our.
That's the same thing. I was telling parents. I was saying they were saying, "Well, why did you name your book about?" I said, "Well, that's because the black people will always be called that, and I want my book to be relevant 10, 15, 50 years in the future." And they was really getting it. I say, well, what's the difference that you letting your kids listen to the rap music with the word in there? And they could not give an answer for that.
Yeah, and you're not going to answer.
That's different. That's over here. They don't think that's the same as over here, but it is.
And to get back on topic, I saw the video. I mean, not only did he slap that guy, the guy kept coming at him. And he just kept slapping this guy, knocking him off his feet, and I thought he was going to kill the guy, and so that was, of course, he's going to pay for that. That was definitely It was definitely overuse of force on his side, but
he will be swooped up and arrested.
Oh, he'll definitely be charged with assault. As a matter of fact, it could even be a possibility of a felony assault because again, he kept. I mean, this wasn't just like what they say.
One time,
heat of the passion. Where
they said if he would have, he said they stroked him a little bit because they say he didn't hit him with his fist.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they said it was a good thing he didn't ball his fist up and hit him with it.
Oh no, he would have killed the guy, and just by the slaps, and the guy, and I can't believe the guy kept going back. So, but anyway, I did see that video. It was very disturbing. I think attorney Ben Crump shared it on Instagram, and I saw it, and it was very disturbing to look at. But again, I'm not the one who condone physical violence of that sort. And unfortunately, the guy's gonna have to suffer the consequences in the courts.
And that's what I be telling individuals. That when you assault somebody, it doesn't matter what word they used on you. The judge is gonna be throwing the book at you. Because you the one that did the assault. And he might say, well, it was racist and you shouldn't say that thing to a black person, and he shouldn't have said it to you. But you did the assault, and that's where the law goes.
Yeah, and I wish I had that video to show the viewers for those who.
I wish you did too, because that was very disturbing. Because when I saw it, my technician showed it to me because he gets all those things, and then he showed it to me, and I said, "Oh man!" And then the guy twirl his hat like, see, that's gonna give him more push when they get to the court. They're gonna show that he was proud of it, so to speak. he twirled his head like
and
he has a gun or something.
right, and this is also too a lesson for those who, and not that I'm trying to teach the elders any type of lessons. Of course, we want to learn from our elders, but now in this day and time, this type of climate that we live in, it's really, you can't tell people, you can't offer your suggestion. And I'm not talking about the racist part. I'm talking about what we talked about telling someone to pull their pants up. It's not even safe to tell them to do that now, even though you're telling them in good intentions, because you know how other people are looking at that, how hard it is to get a job when you got your pants down at the bottom of your behind. And so it's just not a good look. But now you can't even tell kids that now. Kids will pull a weapon out and shoot you for giving them what we consider good advice. So I say that to say we have to go into time of prayer. We have to pray for our youth, pray for this world that we live in. It's definitely different times that we're facing. People are so hostile now, and we're all human beings. I know some things that, everybody has a different type of temperaments, but it's just so much tension in the world today. And a lot of it's to blame is from social media, I would say, and the increase in technology, Snapchat. I saw an article the other day where it said Snapchat, how Snapchat has caused so much confusion and fights among youth in the schools because of the bullying and people posting videos, those short clips that they was targeting Snapchat. Of course, I'm assuming some of the other social media sites can be targeted as well, but something about Snapchat was showing it was an increase in school violence or violence amongst young people. A lot of, I guess they did a study and they showed that some of the, when they do the investigation, it was something related to Snapchat. Somebody posted something, somebody shared a clip.
A lot of that has been going on.
Yeah, but look, Robert, I kept you on 15 extra minutes past the time, and I know you got to get.
Oh, did we? Yeah, we did. Didn't we?
You got to get up early from work. I got to.
Yeah, I'm gonna get up and eat some peanut butter and crackers, and then probably head to the bed.
Yeah. Hey, you rhymed on that one. I like that. So head to the bed. Hey, look, always a pleasure talking with you. And I'm gonna inbox you, and we'll see about doing another segment and inviting Pastor Graves on.
Yeah, we need to get him back on there.
Yeah, and get another panel on, and let's have some good discussion. We had a few viewers tonight, I guess, because we've been a stranger. Everybody was chiming in to see what we had on the menu. But guys, if you just tuned in late and if you missed it, we was talking about the current events around the nation and, of course, around home. We had a new guest on, first time guest, Celena Thomas, out of Picayune, Mississippi. She also has a program, Conversation with Celena. And if you care to join her live stream, you just type in Conversation with Celena. You should find her live stream. She did mention, I think she was on Twitter as well. But anyway, if you go back to this video toward the end, you'll see where she came on and gave out her credentials to how to reach out to her or connect with her.
She had a lot to say, but she didn't say. I think she got 2 sons in college and doing well. She's got something special inside her mind and heart for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Mr. Ray, a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's been a pleasure. Been nice grooving with you again, and we're gonna do it again.
Yes, sir. Until we speak, enjoy life and living. Thank you.
Thank you. Be the same.